Hello, I am here with Sam Davis. Sam Davis is the owner of North Texas Gutters down in Denton, Texas. North Texas Gutters, Denton, Texas. That'll make sense. And he's just another one of my awesome, weird business owners. And I'm going to explain why. I know, see, I love that I got your face on that. I explain
Yeah.
why. So just to give a lot of real bunch of a little bit of exposition to this is that, and the reason why I call you weird is, Sam, you shouldn't have been able to hire us. You shouldn't have been able to hire me. And I know it sounds kind of arrogant, but what I mean by that is that Sam's a business owner, and he has about $1 million worth of revenue at the time that we started talking, maybe a little less. Really wanted to grow his business, which is awesome. And the only thing that we could really offer him would be like a coaching program to try and get him to be to a certain level, because he's outside of the metroplex of Dallas Fort Worth, where the media budget that you need to have is pretty high. And so even to get in on a low end, Sam, you were like, I knew there was a struggle there. And so you hired me for one day. I traveled down to Austin. You came down to Austin from Dallas, and we met for a day and we talked about a bunch of things. And you, at that time, I said, okay. And then if you want, I can stay with you and coach you. And you were like, hold the phone, give me a second, put on the brakes, give me 3 months. Literal words was, give me 3 months and we'll see what happens. So the reason I call you weird is because you just went and destroyed your margins. What I mean by destroyed, you went and said, I'm going to make my margins much better based on the conversation that we had. And I want to talk a little bit about that, because that's weird. Most business owners at your level can't just go, hey, give me 3 months, I'm going to fix things, or I'm going to make things better, I'm going to go in a direction. So I'm going to let you talk for a second and step back to what was going on. How did you get introduced to the idea of kind of this brand marketing that we do at the Wizard of Bats?
I think the biggest takeaway of a full list of takeaways that I got from that one day was the type of customer we were looking for, transactional customer versus relational. And once I realized that I didn't want transactional customers, that's kind of what shifted everything. We were able to raise our prices, back that pricing up with the value that we provide. And once we focused on that and we revamped our website, revamped everything that we do, all outward facing messaging to attract relational customers, not transactional, that's kind of what changed everything.
Can you define, I can define relational customers, but can you define relational customers from the business owner's perspective?
For us, it is a customer where their purchase decision is not purely based on price. They're not looking for the cheapest bid. They're looking for quality. They're looking for a reputable company. They're looking for someone who's going to stand behind their work. Somewhat our sales reps have, great chemistry with our customers. They hit it off and they've got great conversations. They discuss things other than the gutter job while they're there. And it becomes, when they're there, they're, basically friends, and they're talking about sports and family and all kinds of other stuff. And then it's, oh yeah, by the way, we're here for some business. Let's talk about that as well.
Right. And I'm just gonna cap it off with saying that a relational customer, they have a primary fear, and their fear is making the wrong decision. So it's not price first. It's, is this the right solution for the problem that I have, right? And so that's what you were able to hone in on, which is awesome. Go even before that. So before you even knew me, because we met through a handoff, and I say a handoff, but through an introduction from Steven Semple. What, why did you call? Like, what was going through your mind as a business owner that made you say, I really need to do something different? Like, what was going on in the business? What was going on in your head?
So yeah, we were in, I think the race that all small businesses are in is, we need more leads, more leads, more leads. And the way we were getting them is more paid advertising, more paid advertising, more paid advertising. And it was, I talked to multiple people in the gutter industry and in other industries, and, yeah, I grew my business to, 5 million or what. Oh, how'd you do it? I just, I kept tacking on more ad spend, more ad spend, more ad spend. I was
And
like, well,
when you talk ad spend, you're talking digital ad spend,
yeah,
like
digital ad
Google.
spend, Facebook, Google,
Okay.
Google local service ads, stuff like that. And I was like, man, there's got to be a different way to do this to where you can grow the business without having to spend more and more and more on that ad spend every month. I'd been referred to listening to Steven's podcast, Empire Builders, several times. And so I used to listen to that just when I was working out or, driving around. And, they always say, if you're interested, give us a call, reach out. And I was like, I mean, I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
That's how I figured out about it. And, had a call with Steven, I think a 90-minute call with Steven. He kind of discussed, hey, you're not quite there. You've got the right idea, but you're not quite there. Let me put you in touch with Matthew and see what happens.
Awesome. Okay. You had somebody else who had influenced you to listen to the podcast. The podcast then when you were like, oh, wait a second, these guys might know something. It doesn't hurt to ask the question. And then we got to meet, which is awesome. So you kind of explained that what you did was you raised your margins. So you went from, I don't know if you mind me saying it out loud, but you went from a 15%, 20% margin up to like a 40, 45% margin because you realized you were already doing things that none of your competitors are willing to do. You were already willing to back up all your work for as long as it needed to be backed up. So now you just guarantee it up front. So people go, oh, all right, well then, yeah, you are the easy choice, right? And that's something we figured out during our one day together in Austin. So since then, how did that change internally? Like, talk to me about your employees, how they feel about the business now that you made these changes. Because we're not on so you did hire us as your marketing company, and we're looking like we're going to be going forward and doing some work together, but we're not on air yet. Our play is going to be a radio play. We're looking for that radio station right now because, again, we're trying to not get right into downtown Dallas because it's expensive and busy. We want to try and get onto something a little bit more on the fringe. But what's happened inside the business? What changes have come out of that so that you become, as you move forward to this new relational strategy?
At first, there was a little, not pushback, but a little rumbling of, hey, we're not getting quite as many jobs and, our conversion rates are dropping. And I was like, I just told everybody it's a transition period. We're looking for the right customer. We're looking to increase margins, be more profitable. It's going to take time. And, it only took a few months. And once you kind of filter through that pipeline of leads that we had that were transactional customers, the guys started realizing, oh, wow, we're actually getting a lot of job minimums and all these low dollar jobs. We're getting quality jobs that we can go out and, make good money on as installers, and sales rep love it because they're making great commissions on it. That was probably the biggest thing, is the transition period. But now everyone's fine. Everyone's on track. Everyone knows what's going on.
I remember when Steven and I came down and met with you for one day. We called that the Uncovery Day. So once you hired us on as your full-time marketing agency, Steven had your Robert, your sales guy, had come into the office, and I remember in that conversation he was like, yeah, he says the leads that we get now versus before are he calls them, and it's funny because it's a very sales term, but we calls them quality leads. He said these are buyers, they're not shoppers, which is a different way of saying relational versus transactional, right? And so I thought that was kind of an interesting way for us to feel very good about the decision that you had made. The other thing that you had said to me, and again, if you could elaborate on it, was that yes, your lead count went down, but your actual conversions went up. Like, you closed more deals with less leads coming in because the leads that were coming in were relational. Talk to me about how that felt in the moment. And what does that do for your business going forward?
Yeah, the transition period was odd. I guess one of the biggest effects it changed is the revenue that we did this year, I guess in 2024, was higher than our previous years, but with less jobs completed. So we were able to get all those jobs done with higher margins, and trying to think of how that's going to relate back to the question.
No, I think it relates perfectly. So what you're saying is that once you realized that you wanted to speak to a very specific type of client, which is that relational client, you realized that you didn't have as much work to do at the front end.
Yeah.
You don't need as many people to do the work, and you're more profitable.
Yeah, so our efficiencies went through the roof.
Right. Because you said something to me, we were talking yesterday, and you had said we were going to have a better 2 days in January than we had all of last January. Like, to me, that's just like my chest, puffs up, and my ego gets big. It's as I'm saying, and like all these things that you put in place because we sparked that. I want to take credit for it. But here's the thing. You can lead a horse to water. If here in Texas, that's a great Texas saying. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. And this is why I called you weird. I meet with a lot of business owners over the course of a year who I don't speak with again. And I told you this, we're picky. We want to make sure we work with owner and operators that one, we have to like them. Two, we have to think they have the ability to grow, so they have to be good operators. And three, we have to believe that they're not out there taking advantage of anybody, that they're doing the right thing for the world and their client base. So these are cheats that we put in front of us so that we don't waste our time working with specific customers. So so anybody's watching this and you want to hire me, great. But we have this whole 90-minute phone call. Then we have a 1 day that we meet with you before we even decide whether we're going to work together. And that's just to make sure we both feel comfortable. But you're so strange that you said, I still shouldn't work for you. I mean, I'm charging you as if you were a double the size of a business you are. Like, that I told you up front, listen, to work with you, I have to charge at least this much. And you said, yeah, let's go. We're going to make it happen. I mean, I think it stems from the fact that you and Emily, your wife's name is Emily, are a power couple. Like, you guys really are. You wake up in the morning and you think of a business, you're driving towards a goal. You both have very different businesses.
Yeah.
But yet both ridiculously ambitious to make those businesses the number one in your region. And if you can grow outside of that, then you will. And so, like, this is why I called you weird at the beginning. You've got such a passion to not sit still and to move. And I know where that comes from, but I'd like to hear from you about your upbringing a little bit and what drives you to be this kind of like I say, hey, they're going to do this thing and I know it's going to take us 3 months. And you're like, no, I got it done.
Yeah.
Like, what drives you to be like that?
I don't know. I mean, growing up, mom and dad both worked blue collar. Like, that's just, I've been working since, I started my first job when I was, I think, 14. I've never not had employment since then. I've always, had at least one job, if not multiple jobs at the same time. Same thing through college. I've always looked for a challenge. I told you this morning, I challenge my son all the time to do hard things. Like, try to challenge yourself always. And so to me, I enjoy the business stuff. And so I'm always looking to do business things, but I also want to challenge. So I'm going to do everything that's hard to try to get to that next level.
Right. Remember, I mean, we built a campaign that we're going to be moving forward with in 2025 for you. That's based on a very pivotal character in your life. Right. Who's that?
My Grandpa Bud. So
Grandpa Bud,
from a very young age. So Grandpa Bud did not retire until he was, I think, 84 years old.
Jesus.
It's like he literally just, and then after that, he started doing volunteer work just because he wanted to stay busy. He was like, go. He had a work ethic. So from a young age, I was, like in our campaign we talked about, I was going to the church with him to clean the church. I would go to, different job sites. I think the last job he had was a janitor at an elementary school, just because he wanted something to do. And so I would get out of school and I would go over to that school and help him and, walk around and play while he was doing work there. Helped him with his volunteer work on the weekends when I was out of school or in the summer. It's just a go, always on the move, drive, mentality. So, said from a very young age, that's the way I have been. And, pretty much every adult example I had in my life was the same way. So very fortunate by that.
Absolutely. Listen, 100%. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts that our past influences our future, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the whole nature versus nurture conversation, right? How much are we influenced by what happens around us versus how much are we born with and innately capable of? And you've surprised me every single time. I mean, I met with you, you said, give me 3 months, and literally on the last day of the 3rd month, you're like, okay, how do I hire you? And I'm like, oh man, tell me the good news. Tell me why you think you're there. And then we met with you, and then I went to a partner meeting. So with the Wizard of Ads, and I literally did my partner talk on, if you have the right client, you're going to be talking to my partners. You're going to be extremely successful, which is why it's so important to get the right client, do the right thing to find the right client. It's no different than what I'm teaching you. Find the right client. When you have the right client come in, you actually get paid properly and they treat you well. And when mistakes happen and you fix them, they're happy that you fixed them. They're not mad you made them. And so all of this is really, man, it's so serendipitous. And all of our conversations are great, which is why I asked for the interview.
I got to take a note. You just said something that sparked something on me again. Hang on.
Always, every time we talk, you just see, this is what I mean, folks. Listen, there's always a takeaway no matter what. What's the takeaway, by the way, after you finish typing? Because I'm just filling in while you type.
You're talking about having the right client. So I want to work on another qualifying deal that maybe our office staff can use on the phone to qualify leads that come in.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we'll talk about that guaranteed as soon as you wrap your head around it. Okay, so we know where you were. We know what you did to get here. What's next? What's the future look like for North Texas Gutters?
To actually cover all of North Texas. So I've got a goal to expand to multiple locations, and we talked yesterday, we're already looking at 1 or 2 options for 2025, and I hope that's just the start of it. I'd like to get to, I think it'll take 7 or 8 locations across North Texas to cover all the area I want, but I'm already working on the operational challenges and the logistics of doing it.
Right. The other thing I really want to highlight this is that you're big on technology. You love using technology to its absolute fullest. And I mean, in the world right now with AI and all this, talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, the shameless plug of any of the really awesome services that you use. Talk about any of those automations that you're putting together. Talk to me about that stuff.
Okay. I wouldn't say like we're crazy technology. I mean, I guess in the home service world, maybe we are. We use a basic CRM, Jobber, that we've been with since I think 2017. But that was a game changer as soon as we got that, because all of our employees have the app on their phone. They can see their schedule. They can see the quotes, the invoices, notes on the job, notes on the client, anything they need while they're out in the field. Obviously, we have that on the office side on the computer. Handles all of our scheduling, invoicing, pretty much everything is in Jobber. But we've been able to utilize that along with Zaps to do a lot of automations. So we're going to be able to automate a lot of our follow-up calls after quotes, or not calls, text and emails. It'll do a lot of the follow-up stuff after the jobs are completed. I've been working on a dashboard that basically tracks all of our KPIs without us having to manually go run reports. So basically I can pull it up and it's got live data at any given point from exactly what's going on in the business. But that was a big thing, I guess, just measuring every possible metric that we could measure and see where we needed to improve on, or be able to see, we have our staff meeting every week, so we can see pretty quickly if we have a downtrend and what we need to do to tweak that one little thing.
Awesome. Okay, so staying on top of your data, you found to be very helpful.
Very helpful.
Beautiful. Okay, is there something we haven't talked about that you think would be interesting for people that are listening to this, watching this, would find awesome? Any advice, any problems that you've overcome?
Along with having the right clients, having the right team around you.
Sure.
From, whether it be your in-house employees, which I've got an amazing team, you met them when you were here.
Yeah, absolutely.
They go above and beyond every day, to even having y'all. I've been through several marketing places, been through several bookkeepers, several CPAs, and, as a business owner, you can't settle. You've always got to go out and see, you've got to find the best people that you can get for that position, because if you don't have that, you're never going to make it to the next level.
Absolutely. No, I can appreciate that. My previous interview to this was with Matthew Posda. He's the owner of Call Dad HVAC up in the Carolinas. And that interview took a complete, straight arrow turn. I know that straight arrow and turn doesn't work, but that's, it is what it is. It completely focused on the fact that you need to trust the experts. So you got to get the right expert in your life and then trust that process and then go. And I'm glad that you support that. I know I turned it into that, but that's what it sounds like to me. You're saying get 100%. The right people in and trust them, right? Like, as a business owner, I think the goal down the road is be the least important person in your business, right?
Everyone go read Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
There you go. That's a great, this is the thing. Let's give people what they need, all the different tips and tricks that they should be doing. Buy Back Your Time is actually fantastic.
Yeah, I think he says, people are always asking, how do I get from 200,000 to $1 million? What do I do? He said, do the same thing you've been doing, but remove yourself from the equation. Everything that you're doing, replace you with someone else.
Exactly. Brilliant. Okay. Well, Listen, this wasn't as long as I normally talk, but it was very concise. You've got, guys, I really want you to know, like, North Texas
It's all
Gutters.
efficiencies. It's efficiency.
This is what you're built on, man. That's what I'm saying. North Texas Gutters, ntxgutters.com. I guarantee that if you called up Sam and said, hey, listen, I'm doing this, I'd love to get some help. He loves to talk about business. He talks about business with his wife until bed and then wakes up and says, hey, I got a business idea. So yeah, I know I didn't ask this ahead of time, but like, reach out to him. He'd love to talk to you. If you have any questions about marketing, I'm always around. And until then, guys, keep doing what you're doing. Every day you win. That's the way this works. So Sam, I appreciate your time, man. This is great.
Yeah, man, it was good. Thank you.
Okay, we'll talk soon.